Hello and welcome to Tax Matters. We begin by congratulating our dear country, Nigeria, and all Nigerians on the occasion of the 63rd anniversary of our independence as a nation. We believe that the best is yet to come. All we need to do is to keep hope alive. Tax Matters, this program is wholly and exclusively devoted to tax education. That is why we pride ourselves with the tag, Tax Matters, Information and Education on Taxation. Last episode, we took you right into the venue of the sensitization program organized by the Lagos Mainland West region of the FRS. And if you recall very well, TAXPRO-MAX, the flagship technological tool that the FRS has deployed to make tax compliance as easy as ABC, was top on the agenda. Mr. Isaac Mbami Shomgwam was the paper presenter at the workshop. After his paper presentation, Mr. Shomgwam was on hand to answer to the enquiries of attendees. Again, on today's episode, we want to take you into the hall. But before then, again, this interview with Mrs. Chaka Ben Obi, the coordinating director in charge of TAXPRO-MAX and other technological innovations at the FRS. Mrs. Ben Obi, thank you for joining us on Tax Matters.
Thank you, Amaka.
Let's look at automation. What is the long-term goal of the FRS for automation?
The long-term goal of FRS for automation is to build a relationship with the taxpayer. If you call me on the phone and similar to KYC, what you have with the banks, if you call me on the phone, I can immediately tell you at what point or who you are. Once you give me your TIN number, I can tell who you are. I can tell whether you have a liability. I can tell whether you have a TCC outstanding. I can tell, for example, and we're currently working on it, if you don't have any liability on your your profile, to pay, you don't have to apply to get your tax clearance. It's given that you have complied. Why do I have to wait for you to apply for your tax clearance? And we know the benefits of tax clearance to most businesses. So you do not have to wait. So we want to build a relationship with the taxpayer. We want to sell to the point where a taxpayer trusts the government and are ready to fulfill their civic obligation without grudging. There's also a lot of people who are not on the tax net today and are doing business. And most of these are people who are on the digital space. Our long-term goal is to be able to bring everyone who is making an income from Nigeria, irrespective of what part of the world that you live in, should pay tax to the government of Nigeria. That's our long-term goal, and we're working on it.
And we believe in the FRS. Now, can you please highlight the achievements the TAXPRO-MAX has garnered, in tax administration and revenue generation or mobilization in Nigeria?
The first will be the taxpayer database. We now have a trusted taxpayer database with integrity. In the past, anytime we have a mission, like IMF or World Bank visitors, there's always been complaint about there are too many duplicates in our taxpayer database. Reason because a taxpayer may register in different offices because we didn't have an integration with CAC. So there was no way of checking whether we have registered that particular ROC. So there was a lot of duplicates, as much as you can have one entity being registered 20 times, if not more. But today, we can boast that with the TAXPRO-MAX, we have a clean database that can be trusted. So that's on the first one. And on the second one, filing used to be done manually in the past. And because it's manual filing, there's been a lot of mistakes that you cannot manually determine as against when you have a system checking. So today, filing of returns is being done on the TAXPRO-MAX portal electronically, and then you can also pay electronically using different channels one of the issues we also had in the past was reconciliation, being able to match all assessments with the payments to ensure that assessments, the correct payments were paid. Today, you can then do that. So if you're supposed to pay 1 naira and 001 kobo, that's what you pay. You can't pay less, you can't pay more. If you take instrumental payments, you can. Now, instrumental payments is not left. If you're filing within the time frame that you're supposed, within the due date you're supposed to file, it automatically allows you to choose whether you want to do instrumental payment. It's no longer being negotiated. The logic has been built into the system. Now, it also has blocked leakages in the sense that penalties and interest are now automatically calculated. And then, and that has made a lot of taxpayers comply. So it's also driving, as much as it's increasing collection, is also driving compliance. Taxpayers is also giving taxpayers some convenience with regards with withholding credit notes. If you recall, in the past, you did a job for, let's say, one of the MDAs, and they pay you and withhold your withholding tax. You have to go back to that agency, that MDA, to pick up your withholding credit notes. You can then take the same thing manual to the tax office when you're filing your returns, and use parts of the credit note to offset your liability. But now it's all automatically done, and that's the convenience I'm talking about, the ease of filing your returns. So you can decide to use your credit. Once you have credit on your ledger, you can decide to use it when you're filing, and then whatever the balance is, you can then pay in cash, and you can pay in the bank right away, not that you have to go to physical bank. You go to a physical bank is now your choice if you don't want to pay online. So those are many more and what TAXPRO-MAX has been able to achieve for FRS and for the country.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
I'm a very busy man. My business involves a lot of traveling, and I interface with lots and lots of people and organizations. Tax compliance used to be a big drag on my business. It was time-consuming and very costly. But now, no more. Introducing the FIRS TAXPRO-MAX, the truly fully end-to-end tax administration solution for companies' income tax, value-added tax, petroleum profits tax, and all other tax types. For fast, efficient, and convenient end-to-end tax experience, log on to www.taxpromax.firs.gov.ng. TAXPRO-MAX has turned things around for me. It is fast, user-friendly, and cost-effective. FIRS, making tax administration as easy as ABC.
We have a document known as the modernization plan that documents how FRS intends to improve its services to end users, and this is a holistic plan. We are looking at the human resources, looking at the processes. We're also looking at the deployment of technology. So we are looking at deploying all the latest technological tools that will enable us to do much better, to perform better. And you can see that this is already yielding results. And the vanguard of that automation process is our TAXPRO-MAX, which is our application that the taxpayers use to file their returns, to request for their tax clearance certificates, to print out their receipts and withholding credit notes. So what it means now is that taxpayers can carry out all their tax affairs at the comfort of their homes without coming to FIRS. So that has improved the ease of doing business, the ease of compliance, and this is also showing up in our collections.
What is the rate of Naseni levy in Nigeria? Naseni levy is at the rate of 0.25% of profit before tax payable by companies engaged in banking, telecommunications, ICT, aviation, maritime, oil and gas with turnover of 100 million naira and above. Naseni stands for National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure. The agency's mandate is to create an enabling, knowledge-driven environment for local mass production of standard parts, goods and services required for the nation's science and technology advancement. That precisely is what the levy is for.
It is an offense punishable by a fine of 10 million naira and or imprisonment for any agency of the federal government other than FIRS to demand for books or returns for the purposes of tax. It is also an offense to carry out the function of assessment, collection or enforcement of tax, or pay any portion of tax revenue to any person or into any account other than the relevant accounts designated by the Constitution or relevant laws of the National Assembly. It pays to pay your tax. This message is brought to you by the Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS.
You are still on to Tax Matters, and it is time for us to share with you the robust question and answer session that followed the presentation of Mr. Isaac Mbami at the sensitization workshop hosted by the Lagos Mainland West region of the FIRS.
The issues that are coming up regularly, especially during after audit, and payment have been made by a company. For instance, if payment is made, maybe instrumentally, or payments are made staggerly, by the time TAXPRO-MAX will take notice of those payments, there won't be reconciliation at the end of the day. There will be some of the payment that have been made. It will be showing on TAXPRO-MAX as receipts, but in the ledger balance, it will still be showing there as unpaid, saying visit office. And without all those things being reconciled, you can't obtain tax clearance. By the time you want to obtain tax clearance, to tell you you have some outstanding that you need to clear.
So my first question is integrating the dollar, withholding on dollar on TAXPRO-MAX. We go to Abuja, apply, send to the tax office in charge, and they tell us that we need to come back, we need to come back. It has to be integrated into the TAXPRO-MAX. Then thirdly, my question goes about the interest, how to compute it on the TAXPRO-MAX. So, issue that I'm having is when an assessment is raised for 2019, for this year, the audit was done this year. Why is it that the interest is starting from as at that year?
And I'm starting with question number 1 about audit payment processing. The audit module was deployed in the second quarter of this year, whereby all audit exercises that have been concluded and LOI issued are supposed to be uploaded and payment effected on the system. Currently, any audit assessment that has been onboarded on the system can only be processed by the audit office or the office that issued the LOI. The regular tax office cannot process those assessments, not just the taxpayer. Even the regular tax office cannot tamper with those assessments because it's not within their jurisdiction. So, and since we're running an integrated tax administration system, whenever you have an outstanding, whether from the regular tax office, operational office, or from the audit, which is compliance check, the system will not grant you TCC because it will tell you you have an outstanding assessment. Currently, what we have now, it's a temporary phase. Just as we said, with every technology, you don't release all of the functionalities at once. In no time, all of the functions that currently you have to go to the tax office to do them, you'll be able to do it yourself. Just like the TCC. When we started the TCC, it was strictly a walk-in process, whereby you have to go to the tax office and apply before you can get TCC. While this year, with effect from 1st of January, we introduced the one-click TCC, whereby you can sit at the comfort of your home and log in, apply and obtain your TCC as long as you don't have any outstanding liability on the system. This will also apply to the audit assessments. We'll make it a full-fledged menu whereby once an audit assessment is raised against you, as a taxpayer, you can log in and generate your payment reference number without necessarily contacting them. Question number 3, which is from Joy, dollar remittance and dollar withholding credit. Most of the dollar withholding credits are legacy payments, which we are trying to migrate to the system. The remittance of dollar payments is quite different from the Naira. The process and procedure is different. And that is why sometimes, because of lack of this flow of instruction on how to get this, your dollar withholding credits available on the system, has caused a lot of gridlocks in some of our offices. For Naira payments, when you're remitting withholding credit, the schedule of beneficiaries is usually uploaded. And that is available to any of our officers. And it's also available on our system. But for the dollar, such schedules are never uploaded and are not available to the tax office until it is submitted by the agent that made such payments. So if you have any dollar withholding credit which is yet to be migrated, it is expected that the agent that made the payment submit the schedule and the evidence of payment to the office where the agent's file is domiciled, because that's the office that received the payment, so that the schedule and the payment evidence will be uploaded to the system. Unlike the Naira, that not minding where the agent that remitted the payment is, you can approach your tax office and they'll validate your withholding credit and process it for crediting to your TAXPRO-MAX account. For those ones that already have their dollar withholding credit or other currencies migrated to the system, we have also enabled conversion, where you can convert your dollar withholding credit to settle your Naira liabilities. But you can only do that if the dollar remittance has been migrated to the system. So if you have any dollar withholding credit that is unprocessed, or you have made remittance in dollars, please submit the evidence of the remittance and the schedule, if, where applicable, to the office where your tax file is domiciled. They are the ones that are expected to initiate the receipting of that dollar payment amount. Currently, we have deployed the dollar portion of TAXPRO-MAX. You can file and pay with your dollars now. Beginning from October, all your remittances for dollar-denominated taxes can be effected on our system seamlessly. And you have no room to be running helter-skelter to get your receipt. Just like the way if you make payment in Naira, you get your receipt without visiting anywhere.
More questions, more answers.
I help a client to register a company, and on receiving the certificates, I discovered that the thing died in 9th Mile, Enugu, 9th Mile, Enugu, and I know that I need to do the redirection here to Lagos, but it's not been easy redirecting that thing. And I can tell you for sure that since then, I've not been able to do that. And I'm also scared that by the time I finally succeeded in doing that, I may be asked to pay penalty for late registration. I think we need to do something about that.
If you have such issues, one key thing about managing tax affairs is communication and documentation. Whenever you have issues, please document it, meaning write an official letter, official email to the office communicating your challenge. No matter the time it takes FIRS to resolve such issues, what we'll look at is the communication timeline. And if you have notified FIRS of your challenge on or before your due date, you have no need to actually pay any interest and penalty, because it wasn't your fault. You have notified on time, and it was FIRS that was unable to resolve your issue as and when due. Please, communication and documentation is very important. Once you can produce that, you are actually free.
I'm aware that there's a memorandum between or amongst FIRS, ICANN, and CITN that speaks to the fact that as an ICANN or ANAN person, what you do is auditing, while CITN people are meant to be doing tax. On TAXPRO-MAX, even after having done the audit, the only document that TAXPRO-MAX allows you to upload is the audited financials. Where is this place for the tax audit report? Thank you.
For ICANN and ANAN, it's a different module that will actually handle that. Just as we said earlier on, most of the modules which will bring about efficiency and effectiveness of the solution are being added in piecemeal. Very soon we'll add that module whereby even as an auditor, you cannot be able to log in to do any tax affairs until your membership status at ICANN and ANAN and also CITN is up to date. We had that agreement with FIRS. So just wait for us. Not just that you will not secure your job, we also ensure that you also pay your dues to ICANN, ANAN, and CITN. When we get there, you understand. Thank you.
TAXPRO-MAX. We want to conclude with this clincher, which speaks basically to the difference between a manual process and an automated process.
Any computer system is a GIGO regime, garbage in, garbage out. So I keep telling people, wherever I have opportunity like this, whenever you're not sure of what to do, please don't click OK until you are OK. Because one thing with computer, once it asks you and you say OK, it simply means you are OK. Please, when you're not sure of what to do and the system asks you, are you OK? Please don't say, I am OK. Rather go and sort help so that the problem will be sorted. We have instances whereby a taxpayer file, system brings out an assessment running in billions for VAT. And he asks him, Oga, you are about to pay about 1.2 billion. Are you okay? He said, I am okay. And he submitted it. Then after the due date, he ran and came back and said, I am seeing 1 something billion in my account that I should pay. Even if you sell me and the company and everything that I have, I don't have up to that. He said, sorry. But the system prompted you that this is what you are about to commit. And you say you're okay. He said, yes, but I was just trying to file. Please. Can actually understand when you explain. But when it comes to system, it does not understand anything. Rather than yes or no. Did you submit it? Yes. Did you declare it? Yes. And that settles your fate. So please, when you are not sure or when you're not satisfied with what or the result you're getting from the system, please don't okay it. Don't submit it. Raise alarm and shout. At that point, obtain help. It's better for you to even leave it uncompleted than to complete it and seek for help.
If you are not okay, don't press OK. We are sure that you have had an exciting time on this educative episode of Tax Matters. That's our forte, information and education on taxation. Again, we say, embrace TAXPRO-MAX if you haven't done so. Use it if you have not begun to use it. It will make tax compliance as easy as ABC for you. Let's do this again next week. Same station, same day of the week, same time. you for watching.